water, like they come home, see it's a healthier egg. So they must be kind of mass juice and some of the organic stuff for the supermarkets, like.
And that just, I suppose, emphasizes all the time, do your best to go straight to the farm, produce some of your own food, whether it's a couple of hens out in the backyard and or just, again, finding an honesty box. There's a country market in every small town, village in Ireland. And the closer you can get to where your food is produced, the better it is, right? So the idea that sometimes we do get, as we mentioned, maybe more brittle eggshells or feed that's really then been given to animals to try and dye the likes of their egg yolks. What you need to do is actually know where your food comes from and get it as local as you possibly can. That's something that I will sing and to the day that I die when I hit 100. I'm 33 today going forward. The idea is food is so important, but there's different grades of it and wherever we go. But knowing the best foods that you can get is something that you get local, something you know and taste once, and then gain advantage of every other vitamin and mineral that is in something that has come from, I suppose, high quality.
So we just plan to know, in your polytunnel and outside.
Right, so now we're going into, I suppose, the cooler months. We've had one of our harshest frosts there in the last 7 days. So we're leaning towards the likes of things that can tolerate these cold conditions. So that's the likes of any of your greens. So that's your minsuna. Rocket is the one that most people have heard of. You have
inside or outside.
They're able to tolerate both conditions. If you haven't sown them already, you can still sow them. I'm doing a grow your own course the weekend, and we'll be sowing. This one I think currently sold out, but going forward there's other ones. So this one is 2 of them in Waterford. One is in Clashmore. It's nearly Cork, and then we have the likes of the next one in Waterford City. And then after that, I'm going to start putting out feelers for January, because again, that's the time when really things start to get a little bit warmer. And the idea is we're rolling into the likes of spring. So all the time. Oh yeah, I'm literally after coming back from Limerick, and I know I'm on this, and do you know what I mean? And this is Sunday. No, 9:30 is my bed. We're on a limiter here till 9 o'clock. Yeah, Mizuna. So Minzuna is an Oriental salad. So it's related to the likes of everything in the brassica families. That's your broccolis, that's your kale, that's it's an edible salad leaf is what it is for the most part. And it's something. Yes. No, but I'm just trying to think. It begins with R. It'll come to me now in a second. It's Romanesco. No, it could be Romanesco. That's how it is. Yeah, it's Romanesco. So I've actually only. Yeah, it's a leaf that gives you a quicker return on your investment for sowing something right now. So you can get it. So the idea of broccoli and/or will mention that Romanesco, that's very similar in shape, and it's quite interesting with its design and its edible flower that we consume it for. It is something that you can get again a quicker harvest from. So your salady leaves, okay, that give you nutrient density at this time of year is something that you sow a seed, okay, in a tray, in a yogurt tub. You multi-sow them, so you're sowing, let's say 4, maybe as up as far as 6 seeds per cell or pot, and as a result of that, then you can have it on your windowsill or you can have it outside. And the, I suppose, basic idea that if people want to upgrade to some sort of a polytunnel, it's literally a lean-to. You could pane of a glass would also do. Windows, doors that people are throwing out on building sites every single day of the week. One of the panes might be cracked. That wouldn't bother you. You literally lean it up against one another, make an apex form, and literally in 4 weeks' time, you can be eating your own greens from your back garden. And that's something that's definitely well worth doing to anybody who wants to improve their diet and even more so their nutrition out the other side of it. So that's really Minsuna. Pak Choi is another really good one. It's an edible leaf again. But all these ones now have got to be most certainly tolerate the cold. Everything will grow faster inside in a glass house or a greenhouse for that matter, or in a warm windowsill. everything goes faster. So three things a plant needs to grow is soil, it needs heat, and it needs water. Right? If it doesn't have any one of those one items that are essential key things that I teach 5-year-olds, 55, and I even talked to my granny who's 95 years old and plus this year. So it's those three classics you can grow in on top of that. Winter purslane is a meaty, kind of a beefy salad leaf, again, that I always get people to start growing. Kale can also be purple varieties that I do recommend, red Russian kale. Yeah, they will be year round, and they're, I suppose, exactly one of the items that I would definitely recommend more people to start growing. Once you really have a kale plant, you'll be feeding and eating and have enough kale to feed yourself and your family throughout the winter months. I recommend like 2 plants of kale at least. Spinach, you can, or more so, the like the rainbow chard is very similar.
Hardly like a weed nearly, is it?
Well, the idea of the definition of a weed is a plant in the wrong place. But sure, dandelions are the most nutrient dense food, and we're getting lads to spray them with knapsacks there from the county council, left, right, and centre, which is nonsense in itself. I'd add dandelions to smoothies on a regular basis. I'd have it in my stir fries. You can put it in your porridge oats at this moment in time, and then that's a natural prebiotic that I'd recommend people to start consuming. You go into your health food shops that are selling dandelion coffee for at least €6 for maybe 10 tea bags of it, and it's free. It's outside in your backyard.
You said the brassicas as well, like wait, like we'll say like broccoli and that. So are they when would you be planting them and when would you be harvesting? Or is it a kind of like I'd imagine they grow during the summer as well?
They do. So anything that I mentioned there will grow throughout the summer months, but there are different complications with sowing them at different times. So I like to tell people to try and grow with the seasons. So you could have sowed, right, your purple sprouting broccoli in September. That is such a long growing season, right? It starts off as a little seed. We see it and it pops up, then it germinates, then throughout literally coming up the next September, October, November, it's a little bit taller. And then we go into the early December where there's nearly a stop in the growth. But once we hit January again, it picks up. February, and the end of February, start of March is when you harvest the likes of your purple sprouting broccoli, which is part of the brassica family, and it'll be the same duration that would be broccoli sown at that time. But it's why I don't mention broccoli in any of my courses for people who want to grow and start for themselves, because it can take up to 6 months depending on when you grow. It can be as quick as 4 months.
Is that what you're saying? Kind of.
No, I would say if you're looking to grow something for yourself, I would grow kale, I would grow minsuna, I would grow rocket ahead of broccoli, because broccoli, for the most part, it needs a meter spacing. So that's 1 meter, that's 1 yard, that's one pace for one head. You can grow 20 minsuna. No, one head is one head. One head is like what you would hold in your hand that looks like a mic. That needs a meter spacing. Yeah. Because it's a huge plant. If anyone's ever seen it grow, it's a massive plant. That that is exactly it. I'm glad. Like sometimes I nearly skip over the simple things. There's other things that people again must realize that anything that we grow takes us considerable amount of time. And then when people are saying that food is cheap, it's never cheap, because the idea of it is the cost is paid far, far beyond the counter. You start growing food for yourself and say, geez, this is a bit tough. Yeah, it is tough. And people are wasting food. They're wasting it. And it's an absolute sin to throw away any food item, whether it be a fruit or a vegetable and or pieces of meat for that matter. We can lean towards that as well. I was involved in a farm there in Kildare last year in 2023, and I actually brought animals to the abattoir for the first time, and it's something that it was a huge eye opener to myself. Not I didn't ever really grow up on farms. My background actually is just horticulture and fruit and vegetables, but bringing animals that were literally fully registered organic, that took 3 years to rear, to feed, to bring in, fully registered, if I didn't mention that, from an open field, beautifully happy animals, Dexter cattle they were, into the back of a trailer. And as a result of that, we brought them down to the abattoir. They went in behind the gate. We got one dart of electric shock in the side of the head, and that was the end of it. Like, it's tough game. and it's just
Yeah, be careful, manage waste. No, it's not. But I suppose like it's reasonably enough price, but you just have to see right. I've an apple here. I enjoy it. There's no just buying your load of apples for €1 and half them go to waste. You just make sure you get what you need and you use it up. And
Yeah.
that's it, so it's much more, there's that you just make sure you don't waste it. Like I just found that with myself anyway.
Yeah, definitely. And you're right to bring that up even, because right, apples are something that trees that should be sown as of now. Okay, all throughout the dormant season. One of my goals is to go into as many schools as I possibly can. If anyone's interested in me coming to their school or even small work establishment, I've set up an orchard for a company based down in Waterford, and I've been in and going to schools up in Dublin, setting them up so they're self-sufficient in the likes of fruits more so, an orchard being apples, pears, cherries, and I'm going to be planting them up. Yeah, I'm nearly planting these orchards for it's great. It's ingenious in the idea really, but a simple one. Like I'm a simple man. I do simple things and I do them really, really well. So I'm planting those trees that are native to Ireland, that are of M9 rootstocks. That means that they won't grow massively tall. And as a result of that, then every child going into the school will have one healthy item in their lunchbox. Throughout the likes of the growing season, they can have apples, they can have pears, and that's something that's a no-brainer because those fruits haven't been sprayed up, and apples can be sprayed up to 10 times in a growing season. It's a no-brainer, and I don't know why other people haven't thought of it before, but sometimes the best ideas are the simple ones.
But just tell me, we'll say, because it's a thing, apples, like, right, storing them, like we say, they come there about late August or whatever, but, like, you take them inside, like, what's the secret to storing apples to get, the months out of them?
Yeah, great tip, or great question there. I'm going to give you the tip of the day. Not all apples are stored very well. So there's different varieties, and it's well worth knowing. I'm lucky enough to, after setting up 2 large orchards, the largest of the orchards that I've set up, at 69 different fruit trees, and not just literally one variety, not 2, not 3. I had over 15 varieties of apple trees. Okay, so typically a sweeter apple is less likely to store well. So that's something well worth noting. So that, and remember, like bitter things are actually good for the likes of the gut. So there are different varieties of apples.
Last longer, would that be right?
That's
easier
it.
To store.
Yeah, it's down to sugars, all right? Sometimes. Yeah, so cooking apples will last a lot better, but again, it's down to variety. But even I'll talk about storability of the apples that you do harvest in itself. There are apples that I've picked from an orchard that I set up in a site in Westmeath. They were harvested, last week, right? That is in the 11th month of the year, fresh from the tree. Okay, that's something that.
Things we had so-called storms anyway.
Yeah, the apples, obviously there was going to be a considerable amount of windfall, but there are always apples that will stay on the tree because they suppose had the stronger hold or weren't ready to be left go in itself. So that's it. And there was shelter in this particular site. There was a shelter belt of trees, larger trees, and a hedgerow very close to it, which planned to have that for that main specific reason. So if anybody's thinking of setting themselves up to be much more self-sufficient with the likes of an orchard, which is a no-brainer, I would recommend putting up a shelter belt as well as planting your fruit trees and bushes if that's what you want to go and lean towards this winter.
Well, it's kind of, did they take up a lot of space? Or, I mean, I suppose it wouldn't take much. I mean, you probably want just one tree for the Christmas dinner anyway. But what are they? The way you were saying you need 1 meter square for broccoli. So
exact same.
It's the store that sprouts. Like,
yeah, they're the exact same.
So you need 1 meter for each plant, but you probably get a better return, would you?
You would get a much better return. I would plant more for a family. There is a really good book out there called they're written by Klaus Leitenberg, who taught me. It's about sustainability and growing enough food and the amount of them to have enough to feed a family. So again, I'd probably sow at least 4, because what happens is with growing, 1 minute there's nothing, then there's a little, then there's a lot, then there's a little, then there's nothing. That's the way growing goes. Like, so people kind of go, oh, Jesus, I'd love some now. Like, right, the best time to start growing was literally 6 months ago. The next best time is today. And sow enough. And how do you know you have enough? You can only do it by practice and trial and error. Oh, how much Brussels sprouts do one person eat? How much Brussels sprouts do the next person's family eat? I love them, only have a little bit. I like it a lot. I would lean towards closer to 4 of those Brussels sprouts. But again, they're sown much earlier in the year. So it's really your quick return crops, your leafy greens, your apples you're sowing right now, and you're harvesting. Another plant that I may haven't not mentioned before is like a yacon. Right, yacon is a bit of a superfood. I wrote it in my book called The Power of Organic Fitness. It's something that's from South America, very similar to the likes of I'm going to say a potato. So that's also from South America. Yeah. So
Are they sweeter, or what's the difference in taste?
They're actually naturally sweet, but the benefit of these as well is they don't affect your blood sugar level. So they're absolutely perfect for anyone who has cravings and or is a diabetic.
I bought one myself there I bought a few myself and they were quite nice. Do you know the difference between the purple sweet potato and the orange? The purple is drier, like it's not as kind of soggy. I found it a nice difference. So I nearly prefer it for a change, but do you want to tell us a bit more there? Can you grow sweet potatoes in Ireland easily or not?
Yeah, you do, but just remember that they're actually not in the same family as potatoes. So potatoes are Solanaceae, the same potatoes and the likes of your tomatoes in the same family. But then if you lean towards, we'll go sweet potatoes, that's from the morning glory family, and that's actually has a relative that we don't, some of us may know, of bindweed. You ever seen the flower of it and or the way it grows? Bindweed and sweet potato have those long vines that trail along the ground, but I like to literally tie them up on strings so they literally they don't take up as much space and the slugs don't hang underneath them as much. So they do grow.
The actual tuber is on the ground, am I right?
Yeah, tubers are underneath the ground in every sense, the yacon, the potatoes, and the sweet potato. So
I like what you just kind of associate them with a hot country. So like what time of year do they go, and what's the storage like of them?
Yeah, the sweet potato is something that has to be grown inside in a polytunnel and or a glasshouse, just because of their, I suppose, their loving of the heat, and they're a little bit more less tolerant to any cold conditions that we typically get in Ireland. So that's the first note. So the storability of the potatoes or the sweet potato is again maybe a little bit less because of the higher sugar content, but it's not to say that they can't be stored. And if you do grow them, it's typically you're putting them into the ground around March, because that's when everything's the start of the proper growing season in Ireland. For the most part, you're putting them, and it comes from a growth spurt, because sweet potatoes aren't actually grown from a tuber like your normal spud. So they're going from a growth, most of a growth spurt that's put into the ground, a plug, and I get mine from the likes of Fruit Hill Farm, and yeah, that's where I get them. They're based on a bantry. I know.
So that you have them for next year, or do you have to just buy those off that place every year? Or is there any way of kind of saving them up for the following year?
You can do, it's something that I haven't done myself. It's a great question. You can take cuttings and try and keep them alive for the duration of the winter, but it is more of an advanced kind of skill. It's like grafting. Like a lot of people say, Colman, have you done grafting? I have done it on a couple of occasions. It's quite difficult. It's a course in itself. Propagation of.
Just leave the things there, like take a few, take a few and they keep going, or.
No, because in Ireland we go through seasons, and the winter kills off a lot of the foliage of everything that isn't tolerant to the winter. Like that. So only brassicas are really surviving this kind of conditions.
Right.
That's the way we have it, and we can't do anything about that. There's a lot of people try and change the weather, but we can't change the weather, so we just have to, suppose, change our crops.
You see all these different coloured carrots that you see, or purple carrots, and is that a kind of a natural phenomenon, or is it some kind of genetic thing, or is it just carrots from other countries, or are they a kind of a slightly different crop? Or
yeah, it's a different variety. Typically, the one you're mentioning is rainbow carrots. And would you believe that carrots were not more so purple originally? And when the Dutch king became fond of the vegetable, he decided to breed them out and get to an orange variety. So there's all the time, there's different varieties of carrots that you can get. And again, it's actually really important maybe to even get that and start growing those next year for yourself, because you get a diversity of antioxidants, and antioxidants just color. So the more color you get in your diet, the better.
I mean, so right. I would say I want to start growing, and I want to just, I'm a lazy out, or I just want to dip my toe in, working a full-time job, and I just want to make it as easy, because probably the success rate the first year is probably, not the best. So I want, like, if you tell me, right, I've a little small polytunnel and I have a bit outside, the 5 easiest things to grow and when to plant them inside and out.
Right, 5 easiest.
Give me a nice little bit of food as well, like you say. Are you probably throwing your potatoes there, like?
Yeah, spuds have definitely been there. You're sowing them in March. And a real easy tip for you is to literally put in a blight resistant variety. South O'Meara is a very good variety. It's a main crop. So that just means I keep it. Not at all, not at all. Oh my God. No, and I'll give you one that I'm a major fan of. It's a beautiful flavor. It's called Iron Victory. It even has purple skin, right? And I actually eat the skins just because firstly my grandfather ate them. And the idea that most of the beneficial antioxidant and compounds are found either just below the skin or even in it, especially with that being a pulp.
Organic stuff. I used to be peeling it off before, trying to get rid of it. But now with the organic, when I buy the potatoes, I just eat the skin and everything. Like, just, cook them in the stove, cook them there with a bit of butter, eat the whole lot.
Oh, amazing stuff. Yeah, I don't waste a thing. I'd eat the full apple core, the whole lot. So that's maybe the second thing. If I and spit.
That's kind of that to be that's kind of. I'd have to move on to that level. I'd have to get to level 2. I want to hit level 1. You can be a level 5.
So apples are a no-brainer, right? So apples, you put in an apple tree right now, and in 3 years' time, you can most certainly gain advantage of edible fruit for yourself and your family, right? Stewed apples are amazing. I just literally finished off them with a bit of yogurt, high protein, an organic yogurt that I use, and I've added a bit of cinnamon, which controls my blood sugar levels. There's the second crop, and you can definitely grow with no maintenance. You put it in a tree, you don't even have to literally earth it up, you do nothing to it. The next, then the third, I suppose, vegetable that I would definitely, or more so fruit in this case, depending on which way you want to go, tomatoes. You sow them in February from a seed, or you can buy transplants of any decent garden center, but I recommend people grow things from seed. It's a huge life cycle and it's eye-opening in itself. So definitely tomatoes.
We say you have the tomato plant in the polytunnel, because I remember seeing it going up. They can keep going, can they, from season to season? Am I right? Or is it just the seeds are coming up from, let's say, the tomatoes fall off? And I just remember there used to be this old glass house. We used to be going in, getting the tomatoes, but they seem to grow every year.
Yeah, you're right there. But it just to say the foliage does die off. So there's I suppose a regeneration. So we sow your seeds in February. Okay, what ends up happening is it becomes larger and it goes from a foot to 2 foot to 3 foot, and some of them can go up to 15 feet tall, depending on if you leave them grow that long. Okay, as a result of that, then September, October is probably the last of the best tomatoes. Some people, if they have literally really lovely suited conditions, maybe a wall even in on the back of their polytunnel, or I'm going to say lean-to, can have them all the way up until Christmas, but it's not growing. The leaves have all been removed off it. Because why? The frost was after killing them. So it's only literally the plant that's standing there, skeleton with the tomato maybe on it, that you can harvest up till Christmas week. After that, there's nothing left there. There's no leaves. So as a result of that, any of the tomatoes that fell throughout the growing season that we just went through, throughout the summer months, okay, there'll be seeds in the soil. Next time we get an increase of over 21 degrees, that's when tomato seeds germinate. The next generation of those seed tomatoes will start to grow. So that's what you're seeing. Tomatoes, by God, if they lasted, if you found a polytunnel that was able to last a tomato through the winter, I'd love to see it myself, because they're from South America, and again, or even the Mediterranean, that love the heat. That's why they grow in abundance, and they thrive when they're in a polytunnel.
So the other few plants there, I'll let you keep going.
Yeah, oh, definitely. I'm going to say French beans. They're French or broad beans. So there's 2 beans I'm going to put in here. So you can go with climbing French bean. A Cobra is the variety. It's a lovely black seed. I'm actually looking at one of the seeds here now that I've saved as of last year. And that's one of the things that literally you can put up against the trellis. And once it's literally up above half a foot, you barely have to weed it. Why? Because it's up in the sky and doesn't have to compete. The root system goes down lower and lower as it goes higher and higher, because the determination of the root system is how tall a plant is. So the same height a plant is, the same distance the roots are. After that, broad bean as well as a really good crop. Wickham is a really good variety that I recommend, and that's in open field at both of those. But if you wanted to put them inside a tunnel, the climbing French bean, they'll tie a string to a stick on the ground, and as a result of that, then it'll climb all the way up to the top of the polytunnel, and you'll get an abundance of literally food, which is high plant-based protein and is very, very, I suppose, beginner growers standard for everybody. So that's probably the third, is that the fourth? Then I would definitely go towards if I was to grow Jerusalem artichokes, another really no-brainer. Beginners
It's the cultivation of them, like, because like you kind of see them, but you're nearly afraid to buy them.
Yeah, and
That's no, I'm sorry, yeah.
No, you're right in saying that. No, I didn't grow up. I was, as the fella says, I wasn't reared on Jerusalem artichoke, but I found that they're a very easy crop to grow. They don't get blight like potatoes, and there's no earthing up involved. You put in one, you get 10. That's it. You want to put them in a bucket, you'd get the exact same, I suppose, growth from that exact one tuber can give you up to and close to 9, if not 10 of these tubers that are put into the ground again in March at the start of the growing season. And as a result of that, then you literally harvest them in September, October, and November. And they have a lovely, beautiful, distinctive flower. Some of the varieties that, again, are a natural bee pollinator. And these are something that take in a huge amount of carbon from the likes of the atmosphere, which is so beneficial, I suppose, with anyone worried about the carbon emissions that are increasing ever more and more. So that's definitely going to be the likes of my fifth of the beginner crops.
Is there some kind of, I don't know, notorious nutritional benefit with them, or something that they stand out as being helping on?
Yeah, you're right there. You're right for even bringing that up. So Jerusalem artichoke are in the top 5 high natural prebiotics. So prebiotics are something that feeds your beneficial microorganisms. So that's beneficial for the fact that 70% of your immune system is located in your gut. 90% of your serotonin is produced in your gut. There's so many people suffering with anxiety, depression, all right? And if they actually improve the likes of the real foods that we've mentioned so many of here today, that they would literally be happier, they would be healthier, they'd be much more likely to exercise, and they would have an abundance of energy.
So how would you
Yeah, I would literally get 1 or 2 of those tubers. I would slice them into little, I suppose, wedges. I would sprinkle with either pink Himalayan salt, sea salt, or maybe if you want a little bit of spice, I would put either cayenne pepper into the oven or curry powder. There's a 4th spice into the oven. 10 minutes later, you take them out. They're literally delicious. I'm going to say Jerusalem artichoke wedges.
salt, it's being pushed, and you just have your sea salt, which would have been, people might have used all along, like.
Pink Himalayan salt is just something that has different, I'm going to say, elements in it. It has more iodine, and it's just, again, it's a color.
Does it actually have iodine in it? Because that is a kind of hard element to get, and I don't think it's in the sea salt so much. So is it actually richer in iodine?
Yeah, it would be. It definitely would be something you can get iodine from. So that's one of the reasons that people are leaning towards that. It's the idea that simple. It's all like there's so many simple rules, so many ideas of simple nutrition. The darker the color, the more nutrition that's in it. One of the reasons why it has that, I suppose, a slightly different color to the sea salt. Yes, it would be, and other minerals would give it that pink blush in itself.
Iodine is one of those elements that's hard to get, and you've a lot of these people suffering from thyroid problems, and they're being given medication, but really it's their low in iodine. There was a time like before when they used to wash the milk teats with iodine, so you had it in the milk. I remember when I did nutrition first, like we measured it, and there was actually enough in the milk at that time to give you your iodine, but now they stop. They use some other kind of cleaner, so you don't get the iodine from your milk. So obviously, it's quite hard to get the iodine unless you're maybe eating lots of seaweed and stuff.
Yeah, fish is another great source of nutrition or iodine that you can get into your diet. Fish that I'm currently eating myself, that I would recommend. Again, no major affiliation. If you can't get it from a fishmonger, catch some yourself. But shined tuna, by God, which actually shine. They do sardines, and honestly, yeah. Oh my God, the difference.
I eat the fresh tuna. I shark or swordfish. My favorite type, but I kind of just got sick of the tin. I used to be eating a lot of it before. I know the shines now. It's in the little jar. Yeah, that's the premium quality one, all right.
Premium. It's
premium
gold
quality.
star. Honest to God, like, if you want to treat yourself to or even your family as a gift, a healthy gift that I would recommend people to give as a present this year for Christmas, get Shine's tuna in a glass jar and or the sardines. I'm going to tell you, I love fresh food, but this stuff is absolute gold. I really do love food.
I eat it like in its good quality, all right, but I don't know. You kind of, would I be getting that excited about it? But it is way superior to the other tin stuff, way superior, like.
Yeah, and that's, I do love food. I get excited about food, talking about it, growing it, mentioning people that are Irish based, because that's what I want. I like to tell people I'm not paid to come on here or put out any of my posts on a daily basis on any of my platforms, Twitter, TikTok or X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. That's all voluntary. I voluntarily put free information about growing your own, about the nutritional benefits of it, because I actually truly hands on heart want people to be happier. I want people to be healthier, and that's why I come on here and or post on a daily basis.
Is there any place that would say that would deliver like around the country? Because I know, like you say, if down in Limerick now, you'd obviously be able to get it, but like organic turkey and ham. Is there any place to deliver it, or
any place to?
You have to get it somewhere to hope for you? Because I inquired down here about it, and the farmer that used to do it told me he stopped doing it, and he said feed has gone too so dear this year there could even be a shortage of turkeys.
Yeah, that's the whole idea of taking control of your food and in producing something for yourself is definitely going to be the future, which actually was the past. I don't know off the top of my head, Ed, to tell you who would deliver to you. There, just to mention, if people have no interest in growing at all, there is Green Earth Organics that are based in Galway, that do deliver straight to your door. Fruits and vegetables that are fully registered organic that you can gain advantage of. If you say, God, I've no literally time to grow my own, well, you've either more time or you have more money, and that's someone that I would recommend again. That I know with clients that I work with online, that I get them to.
Shop here, this fruit and veg and stuff, like I just prefer, because it's like I really feel the kind of urge to shift away, like something I nearly resent spending in the supermarket now, and I want to do anything I can to to get stuff that's local and look, they're pleasant to deal with, and you just build it into your routine, and there's more flavor, and so. Just a thing I came across here, and you can give me, because it's kind of an unusual thing. It was in the organic. You wouldn't totally take one away for free to try it. So custard apples. It's meant to be high in anti-cancer stuff or something, but it's a kind of a rare fruit. Did you ever hear of those, or?
Would you believe I have never heard of custard apples, and I know a lot about nutrition and different varieties, but I haven't come across it to date. So I'm always open to learn.
It's kind of the shape of an apple. It's almost like what she said is the more horrible it looks. The tastier it'll be. It sort of goes kind of all brown on the outside, but it's to try to get it at that point where where it's just nice, but it's a kind of, you just scoop out the center of it. But she was just saying you could look it up after. She just said there's some very strong anti-cancer thing in it, but they're only out once a year or something like that. It's an unusual one. It does taste kind of like custard and apple a little bit. There is that kind of unusual flavour, all right.
Well, I'm definitely going to have a look up at that, because something as interesting as anti-cancer that seems to be becoming more and more frequent.
I didn't put any more myself, only what she told me, and I ate the thing like that was tasty. Like.
But there you go. Do you know what I mean? That's what you want to be eating. You want to be eating tasty fruit and or vegetables, and more so like apples. You can get soft apples in every discount store in Ireland, but that's not what we want, and that's why the kids aren't eating these foods, because there's actually less nutrition in all the different foods you get for 49 cents, and people say they don't like fruit, they don't like vegetables.
Like, what can you expect for that kind of rice, like with a bunch of carrots? Like, what can you expect? But because we mentioned it here before, like I know we went through like killing the weeds, the organic way to do it, and I know you came up before with putting down, just covering the area, so the light doesn't get in as a simple way. Any other things you want to enlighten us with, and also maybe dealing with slugs in the polytunnel? But I suppose you don't have trouble during the winter as much with them, or maybe I'm wrong.
You have less and less, I'm going to say, but for the most part, again, what you're going to do is, if you ever have issues with slugs, remember what they like. They like wet, they like damp conditions. So watering first thing in the morning and having your soil at that peak point where it's wet in the morning and it's dry by the evening. Okay, so that's really, really important. Slugs are due to hide in and underneath an untidy polytunnel or veg patch. So have it as neat, have the grass cut really low, and using the likes of things like grit or sand at the doors of your polytunnel or even around the periphery edges of it. Eggshells are a no-brainer. I want more people to eat eggs.
I get you there and that. Yeah, good idea. That and the sand, like it really gets them, like.
Because they don't like, they have an underbelly that they don't like to cross that type of material.
Yeah.
So the more deterrence that you have, the better for, I suppose, having a successful crop that isn't eaten. There's nothing worse than growing stuff successfully and then having the slugs to devour it when you're in bed.
We just think you have the polytunnel right, and you have that all around the outside, but inside you have nothing. Will they still manage to get in?
There's always going to be gung ho, as I like to call them, slugs that somehow get you get in on your boot, like, you know what I mean? You'll be outside, you'll bring one in on the boot, and then so they'll end up coming in one door, and once one is in, he'll lay bloody 100 eggs, and then you're starting off. So
what I was thinking, valerian, like, is a kind of an interesting one, that helps people sleep. And I think, I think it was Irish Organics. Like, I trouble sleeping myself there for a while before, and I got it. I think it was Irish Organics. They had a very good quality one that it was like a syrup. Though I used to take twice the recommended amount, but it was kind of calming. But I just wondered, can you grow that in Ireland, and is it easy to grow? And how would you, would say use it to get that effect, or how would you, get the whatever's in it out of it, like in a tea or whatever, that would give you that relaxing effect.
Expected. Would you believe I haven't ever grown that crop of valerian myself, but to extract the different, I suppose, minerals out of anything, it's making like a tea or a tincture out of it would be something I would recommend. So getting the leaves of it and maybe steeping it in either warm or even boiling water, just to, I suppose, pour into a cup that you would have either before you go to bed to aid in, I suppose, a better night's sleep, would be what I would recommend for you. But I wouldn't be able to personally even just tell you, because again, as the fella says, you can only tell people what you currently most certainly do know, and growing that valerian is something that I haven't done to date.
The last thing there, we let the people in there. Organic seeds, you said, where do you get them? Where is the best place, we'll say, to send off for them or whatever?
Oh yeah, there's a great friend of mine based down in Limerick. His name is Brian. He has a company. He'd be roughly the same goal as me, with 35 or so. He's his own business after setting up in the last number of years. He gets fully registered organic seeds, and then he saves his own seeds. But I'll talk about that first. So the name of that company is Seeds Ireland. I'd be a major believer again in supporting an Irish company. And next thing is, once you buy one packet of seeds, but you can then save the seeds each and every year. So your potato seeds, buy them organically, because then they haven't been sprayed with the likes of harsh chemicals, and as a result of that, you're going to be healthier out the other side of it. You then, if you buy the French beans, you can really save them in September. You have the tomato seeds, and really, if you didn't save them, they'd be put onto the likes of the soil, but I prefer people to save them because they know what varieties they have. And it's something that is you realizing that the power of one little seed can produce an abundance of food for you, your family, and your friends going forward into 2024.
You want to come in and anyone else there, just put up your hand and we let you in after there.
No, it's I love farming. I love organic. It's so fun to me. But like the thing is I live in the Chicago suburbs in the States. I don't know if you've ever been here, but it's like a city, and you know there's like backyard regulations, blah blah blah. So it's just hard to have your own produce. Like I tried doing wildflower seeds and have raspberries in the backyard, and I did do kale this year. Like kale is still doing good right now in November and it's snowing, but you know, I don't know. It's just so difficult because it's like I'm vegan too, so like anything that I want that's organic comes from the grocery store, you know. So you're only getting so much, and as you guys know, like it just when you grow your own produce, there's so much more nutrients, and there's variety, and there's all this stuff. But yeah, I'm just soaking it in. But you know, I just want to start my own like little farm and have people work there. But it's like, where do you start? You know, because it takes so much money, and like, you know, there's people that have like like-minded interests, but it's like, you know, I don't know if where you guys are, if it's like more farmland or if you guys came from the city, but it's just like, where do you start? You know.
Great question, I suppose. And that, so the first thing is you could definitely lean towards finding an allotment. An allotment is something that literally gives you a couple of meters squared of an area where you can grow in. I spent a period of time in America, and there is allotments that you can go to and grow your own food and rent for as little as $50 for the likes of a full year's growing, which is absolutely nothing. Then you can go to the idea of pots. You're in the likes of a city again. Things can grow in pots, such as the ones that are related to kale that's growing extremely well for you already. As I said, rocket, or it's called arugula in the America. So you could definitely grow that, even get packets of seeds of it yesterday or tonight. So you could start growing that in on your windowsill, which would gain advantage of any sort of heating that you do have on in your house throughout the day. So that's the next best thing. Then after that, if you still have very difficult issues with growing, hydroponics, that's using the likes of water, and it's something that's better than the stuff that's shipped in halfway across the world or from other states in America. So taking control of your food as best you possibly can. No situation is perfect, and the idea is what you're looking for is an improvement on your current growing situation.
Yeah, I like that allotment thing. If you like just trying to find a farm or some kind of community that will let me do that. I have like a lot of experience indoor garden. Like I have a like a 600-watt light going right now, and it's just like house plants right now. But it's like the indoor space is like it's just not a good scenario for like growing my own food right now. If I had like a more space, it'd be a different story. But like I'm saying with like being vegan, it's I guess the dream would to be like have your own farm with like all the fruit that you could want, and just work that land and, just kind of be regenerative through work and like, just being there in general is, it's good energy. But yeah, I'm trying, but yeah, it's just so expensive, and but I'm gonna keep like I've had this dream since I was, super young, and I've worked on organic farms and worldwide organic organization of organic farming. Wolf, you like live on a farm for room and board, and you can like stay there, and you work on the farm, and they'll give you food and shelter, and kind of like learn how it goes. So I've done that a few times. I became a head chef. I started my own like little vegan business at one point, takeout delivery, but like it's all profitability at this point. It's like you gotta sustain the business or the farm or whatever to make it so that you can get to, grow it so you can serve more people or even sustain it till next year. So I'm just trying to absorb everything. But yeah, like it's kind of lonely, because I don't know. In the state, just not everyone's into the organic thing. They're like, what does that mean? It's a scam, that kind of thing. But like when you actually know how food works.
You need to be living more rural or something, probably, like where they You know that. Yeah. I just let Patrick in there, and you can come back in again, Luke. Then, if you want, just to give everyone a chance. You there, Patrick?
Yeah, how are you, Ed? How's it going?
How's it going, mate?
How are you, Colman? I sent you a message there. I don't know if you got. Remember, I was talking to you about the Nero weed here the last time you were in.
Yeah, I do, but I never got that message. Where did you send it?
Oh, did you not? No, I went outside. I couldn't find it. It dies off during the winter. You know, it's a very delicate plant. But I found another plant when I went to do a bit of research on the computer, and I think it's wild marjoram. Have you ever heard of that plant?
I have a funny feeling it's also it's very closely related to oregano. Am I right in saying that? It's a perennial, so it'll be there all year round. Slightly hardy leaves.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah. Now I think
we just lost you there.
Breaking up there, the call, and just try to come back in again. Sorry.
No, that was Patrick speaking. He was just talking about a different plant. It just never came. Are we back now?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Perfect. Patrick was talking about a different plant that he was just describing it, I thought.
yeah, it's the sort of the small bit of research I done on it was it looks the same. It's mild or wild, MARGAORA. So I think it's the same plant, but when the spring comes again, it's all over my lawn. I'll send you pictures of it, like you.
It's not marigold or something like that, no?
No, no, it's not marigold. No, it's marjoram. Wild marjoram.
And then you're trying to get rid of it, is it?
God, no. No, I'm not. It's the one that I was talking about. It's called Manerock, back in the Midlands where I'm from. It's the one that when you rub it together, my mother used to have a cure, and when you rubbed it together, instead of prayer, it used to froth if you needed it.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Does anyone else want to come in there? Do you want to come back in, Luke or Patrick? Because we'll probably be winding it up shortly there. We just try to keep it kind of fast moving.
No, all good. Appreciate it.
Tadea, you were... No, thank you. Tadea, you were trying to get in earlier there, are you? Are you still there? If you want to get in, just put up the hand. So I suppose, look, we leave it at that. Colman, it's better to keep it kind of fast moving, and look, thanks for coming on. We'd have to kind of figure a way of building it up a bit. See, can we get you kind of, you know, like, but like I suppose it will nearly be up to yourself. I don't mean that in a smart way, you know, but that's the only way we're going to, like, we've only the far right on us. So,
no, what I've done as a multitasking man, I've recorded it here as well on this side for a podcast that's going out. And it's the idea of highlighting it that it's on a certain time and a certain base. So that's me using that initiative there straight away.
Yeah. So this stuff is always a hard slog, like, but look, it gets us, you know, it's still something that needs